Hey there everyone, welcome back to the Dan Cave and welcome to part number 3 of the NuNu Audi A4 BTCC from 1996. So don't adjust your sets. I have had a haircut. Yep, it's a little bit shorter than I've done for a while. So pre-YouTube days, it was quite common to see it this short. It's not happened in a while, so yeah, don't be shocked. So yeah, enough about my hairline or lack thereof. And yeah, welcome to part 3. So you've just seen the previously on, so you've caught up now on what was in part 1 and part 2. But obviously, feel free to watch it as well. Of course, it'll be in the channel, in the playlist, wherever you got to. There is a part 1 and a part 2. So part 3 is the final part. Going to get everything together, do the final bits. You can see the video footage is running over my shoulder. We're going to dive in with the polishing. That's where we're going to start. And yeah, we're going to get it to its conclusion today on the Dan Cave. So if you're not a subscriber, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video. And feel free to leave a comment as well, as long as it's not hair related, of course. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive on in. So diving straight in with flattening back the bodywork. So I'm using God hand sponges, using the 6, 8 and 10 sponges. So I'm just using that to knock down any high spots, any slight orange peel, knock that down a bit, any dust spots. Using plenty of water, just letting the sponges do all the work, very little pressure. And after a little bit of sanding, just wipe it dry just to see how much you've progressed. And just continue your way all around the body just to clean up any issues that appeared in the clear coat. And then progress up through the grades, finish on at 10,000. And once I'm done with the flattening back, it's time to move on to the polish. So this time I'm using by hand the UMP polishing system. So starting off with the number 1 compound, and that of course will begin to bring back that really deep kind of shine that the Gravity Spain 2K gives on the bodywork. Now, clear coat is less obvious on a metallic finish like this, particularly a bright silver finish like this, but you still want to make sure it's nicely polished up. As you can see, I'm just checking my progress, working my way around the body. I think I'm using an old t-shirt. It's good 100% cotton t-shirt, makes very good polishing applicator. There's no lint on it. It's not aggressive. It doesn't add any scratches. And then once I'm done with all that compound, just buffing it all off. I'll give it a wipe down as well to clean any of the compound out of any of the panel gaps. And that just leaves a nearly polished finish, which leads us on to step number 2 of the UMP system, the actual polish itself. Now this is a very, very fine grade polish, and this should bring back the deep shine that we want to see on the clear coat. So again, working it into the surface, letting it haze off, then buffing it clean using actually a glass cleaning cloth in this case. So I've got a stash of them for these kind of jobs. So again, work my way around the body. In this case, I've started on the bonnet, onto the roof, then the rear tape, the boot lid, in and around the bumpers, the side panels. Of course, don't forget any of the other cleared parts like the spoiler and the wing mirrors if they need a bit of TLC as well. But again, just let it haze off and then buff it to a nice clean finish. And as you can see, that is done and I'm happy with the result. So once that's done, it's over to the spray booth, and this time I'm just spraying with some water. Essentially, I'm using this as a jet wash. I'm jet washing the car body just to remove any of that residue, and I'm wiping it down with a piece of kitchen roll, which shouldn't leave any further scratches, but just do be a little bit careful. So once I'm done with that, it's time to start prepping some parts for the exterior, a little bit of priming and painting to do. But first and foremost, some very fiddly PE work with the PE wiper blades that come with the kit. Now they do, it does fold relatively easily. There's two parts. There's the main arm and then there's the blade itself. So I'm just trying to get that blade in place with a little bit of CA glue. And then I can bend over the top of the blade just to make that ready for priming. So there is, of course, plenty of other PE parts to be removed from the PE fret. We've got the toe and eyes. They look absolutely brilliant in PE. Much better scale thickness. So they're just getting mounted on some bulldog clips. And then there's a radiator cover as well. So again, that will get mounted and ready for priming. There's plenty of plastic parts as well. So there's I think there are brake cooling inlets. There's a radiator itself. There's a front splitter. And then, of course, because all that's going to be primed, I might as well get the body prepped for any further work on the trim. So plenty of masking. The lower part of the body shell on this is in semi-gloss black. So I'm just using some Tamiya 1mm and 2mm tape just to mark out the demarcation. And then, of course, once I'm happy with that, I'm also using the Tamiya 6, 10 and 18mm tapes as well, just to block out the areas that I want painted semi-gloss black. So even though the windows themselves do get painted with semi-gloss black as well around the trim, there is a need just to paint along the top of the doors, in around the window frames as well. Because that, of course, when you look through the windows, that will be semi-gloss black like it was on the car. So as you can see, plenty of masking tape used. As you can see, the top right, it's completely masked, which is the bits I want in semi-gloss black left exposed. Now, as everything that's getting semi-gloss black has been done at this stage, it's also time to start cleaning up any of the clear parts. So remove them from the sprue carefully. Don't cut too close to the part itself. You don't want to induce any stress fractures in the glass. Clean up any of the sprue attachment points. And once I'm happy with that, it's time to apply the mask set. So this time NuNu have included a mask set, which is a really handy feature. And these masks can then be added to the clear parts, and it makes it a lot easier than trying to do it yourself. So again, another good score point for NuNu on this kit. So then I end up with a whole bunch of parts that need to be primed or painted in semi-gloss black. However, there are a couple of pieces that need to be primed in white. So there's the towing eyes, which you mentioned already, but there's also the switches for the engine kill switch, the exterior kill switch, and the fire extinguisher lever as well. But aside from that, there's a whole bunch of parts get primed in UMP black. Things like the splitter, the front brake ducts, any of the grills as well. There's a few PE grills to go in as well. In around the window trims. So I think the window trims have been done using Tamiya X18. The lower half of the body shell as well. There's semi-gloss black trim around the rear bumper, the side skirts. So just build it up slowly. You are putting an acrylic paint down on a clear gloss. So just slowly build it up, light coats, and build up that deep semi-gloss black color. So the same X18 is also used for the various clear parts, the rear screen, the front screen, the side windows. And the same process, slowly build it up. So once all those parts have had a little bit of drying time, it's time to come back in and remove all that masking tape. Removing it takes so much less time than putting it on. It can take hours to mask up the body, a couple of minutes to paint it, and then a couple of minutes to remove all that masking tape. So obviously, as you can see, I'm carefully peeling it back. The 2K is absolutely spot on. All those decals are well sealed in, so there's very little risk of lifting any of the decals or paint at this stage. So with the clear parts, do of course be very careful in removing the mask. Sometimes you need to get a blade or tweezers under a corner. So very careful, make sure you don't scratch the glass, and those masks can be removed. So the front grille, of course, that was primed in UMP black as well. Because it's an acrylic over the chrome part, I can just scratch off the trim edge and the Audi logo in the middle. And that looks absolutely spot on. Some of the parts that were done in semi-gloss black, they do now have some carbon decals to go on them. So carbon decals applied in the usual way. So the decals themselves come from the detail upset. I'm using some warm water UMP setting solution. So just using the normal and the strong, that seems to be enough to get these decals to set down perfectly. And of course, working it into the decal begins to soften it, using some heat as well from a heat gun I've got. That just helps the decal soften, conform, and stick down absolutely perfectly. So this is the front splitter with carbon on the top lip, because that'll be hidden beneath the bumper, and on the underside. There's a few more decals to go on the center of the wheels as well. The wheels, of course, were painted quite a while ago. Because of the way the windscreen fits in as well, it's worth adding the decals for the sun strip. So that just pops in place. And then there is, of course, the driver's name. So Frank Biela is the driver of the car I've modelled. He was, of course, the BTCC champion that year. And there's one for each rear side window, and one for the rear screen as well. Now, a couple of parts that were primed in white earlier, can go back and paint them red. I think I'm using Revel Aqua number 34. The rear clusters can also be masked up and sprayed using X27 clear red or X26. Masking can then be swapped, and then the clear orange can be sprayed. The inside of the clusters themselves, so they fit from the inside of the kit. A little bit of CA glue just to pop them in place. And that's the same front and rear. So there's the front clusters and the rear clusters. Then, of course, the towing eyes can be added as well. And as I said earlier, they just look so much better in PE. So tiny drop CA glue on the inside of the aperture. Pop the towing eye through, and that is done. Tires are now added to the wheels. Of course, make sure you put them on from the right side. The thinner edge of the tires goes on the inside. And that's 4 wheels ready for a little bit later. Now in the PE set, there's bonnet and boot pins. So I'm just using a little bit of masking tape just to mark out exactly where those parts can go, and using a tiny drop of Deluxe Materials Glue and Glaze, which is PVA type glue, just to get those bonnet pins in place. Wiper's been added to the windscreen. The windscreen is then fitted. It kind of slides up from the underneath, and then basically just glues in place. This time I'm using some CA glue just to make sure it sticks down fast. Rear screen, that slots in from the rear, and there's a lip running all the way around the inside of the rear window aperture. And the side windows are pretty much the same. So once the decals are fully cured on the, I assume they're brake cooling ducts, they can be popped in place. The light clusters, so the clear parts, I'm going to run a Sharpie around the outside just to simulate the rubber that's often seen on headlight units. And a little bit of Deluxe Materials Glue and Glaze is run around the inside lip, and then the clear part is popped in place on the body. So with all that done, the wheels and tires can be added to the running gear, which was done way back in part 1. Poly caps are in from that part as well. So it should just be a case of twisting the wheels into place. Obviously, try not to use too much force. Once that's done, it's time to try and get the body over the chassis. It's not a tight fit. It just really should go in from the rear first, and this is where I make a little bit of a mistake. So I start from the front and can't quite get the rear to sit in properly. Once I figure that out, the rear slides over first, and then it all just pops into place very, very neatly. And there's a couple of locating pins on the front underside, which the chassis will just slide into. So a little bit of pressure on the front bumper, just to create enough space to pop those locating pins into place. And there's no glue needed at this stage. So that just pops in very, very easily. Well, relatively easily. A little bit of brute force, but not too much. And then it's a case of, there's a few other PE bits to be used on the exterior. So the clips for the windscreen, because they're just clipped down using some PE clips. Again, Deluxe Materials Glue and Glaze is the perfect glue for this. And then the front splitter can be added. So that's added using a little bit of CA glue on the locating pins, and that pops straight into place. And then it's a case of adding the final touches. This is the base for the aerial, which fits into the hole that was drilled in the roof earlier, and then the actual aerial element itself. So once I'm happy with that, the kit is now finished. So let's have a look at the final photos and then come back to me for my final thoughts. So there we go. That is part 3 completed, and that is the video build series completed. So obviously we've gone through the final pictures of the build. You've seen, well, see how it's turned out. Overall impressions, it's a decent kit. NuNu have produced some good kits over the last few years. Goes together well. It is curbside, it's a limited detail, but the addition of the detail upset just kind of steps up the detail a little bit. Certainly on the interior and the carbon fiber and stuff, so it all kind of adds to the overall quality of the build. I really enjoyed it. For me, this car brings back a lot of memories of watching these cars racing on the TV back in the 90s. So I really enjoyed it. Thoroughly recommend it. I do have another one in the stash. Haven't decided on a scheme yet, but I'll look forward to building that at some point in the future. So yeah, top marks NuNu. I've really enjoyed that one. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video as well. And yeah, of course, as I said at the start, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. If you like the video, give it a like. And if you want to leave a comment, feel free. So yeah, thank you for watching. And I'll see you all very, very soon in another video build. So I'm going to leave it there. And that's it for today. So thank you for watching. And bye-bye for now. And see you all very soon. So bye-bye.